Hello, welcome to Can't Draw Horses Club. I'm Corey, and today we are joined by Alex.
Hello. I am a normal human meat thing.
It appears that there are many fans of your human meat form in the chat.
Aw, shucks.
I
Well, we'll see how that works out after they see what I've been up to.
do.
Um,
Okay, before we start, maybe we should show off your bona fides. Anyways, we're gonna be working on backgrounds today.
it's called Can't Draw Horses Club.
I
I'll have you know I drew this horse with no reference from memory. So this is why you use references, otherwise this happens. Oh
I
god.
did an entire show about references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that the don't use references crowd is like a secret cabal of like, I don't know, somebody someone who has a vested interest in making other artists worse. It's really weird. Like I've encountered so few people who know what the hell they're doing. They're like, don't use references and don't use like digital tools and whatnot. It's like, what?
Like, why would you A, not use the tools available, and B, not use your eyes to draw?
The only real like the topic of cheating in air quotes comes up in art a lot, and I think the only like genuine cheating to me is copying somebody else's work and passing it off as your own.
All right, I've
That's cheating.
I've turned myself down. Chat says I was too loud. How about now? Funk Soul Brother, check it out now.
That sure was a song from the 90s. Anywho, yeah, use reference.
That song was in the Digimon movie.
Being able to utilize reference in a useful way is itself a skill.
Hmm.
Curation is a skill. Selecting reference is a skill.
Right. So, tell me about backgrounds.
Um, I'm one of those weird art heathens that really loves drawing backgrounds. It's something that I see a lot of artists are really afraid of drawing backgrounds, or they just are very intimidated. Um, I mean, like everybody has their own sort of strengths. I encourage everybody to give it a try. Um, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could say about drawing backgrounds. Particularly in the context of where I come from, i.e., comics, where there's a couple things that I think are really useful. Like, you don't have to draw a fully rendered background for every panel. In fact, that's like kind of ideal that you don't. Also, you don't have to draw a complete background. You can just infer one. Um, Backgrounds are like a storytelling tool, like anything else, and you want to use them only when it's going to have an impact or effect on something. It's like you want to set a scene with a background, and then I think you can ease off and do like sort of suggestions of it. If it's like switches to dialogue, for example, so you
Ah,
can like simplify something. But yeah, I like drawing weird stuff, and I also like adding little creeblies and so forth. It's very zen when you get into drawing a background.
I have not had that experience in drawing backgrounds.
Oh
I
yeah.
either get too impatient and give up, or uh, don't. Just don't.
That's fair.
But I was on Twitter the other day reading the timeline, and I saw a video someone posted of their process in Clip Studio, where they were doing like a downtown scene, and they showed off a couple of like the little tricky things they do with transforms and stuff to sort of ease the process of drawing
Oh,
150 windows on a building. And I wanted to try that out, so that's on my list of things to do today.
actually, what I might do is show you something that I use to learn things about perspective, because I think that might be the other really intimidating part about backgrounds is using perspective, which is again a thing you don't always have to use, and b a skill like any other that can be learned. But I'll tell you, I'm never going to say that it's like easy,
Hmm.
because I was told it was easy to draw in perspective, and that really put me off for a long time until I finally decided that I was going to stand on its neck and beat it out of it. So now I'm on my way towards making perspective a thing. So I would love a suggestion from either you or the chat on what to do as a background. I mean, the cityscape is.
Yeah, well, I was working on this thing. Got my little figure, maybe a little park environment, a little water feature. Got the sun
You
in
know,
the sky.
I'm gonna go rooting around in my reference folder. See what we have.
God,
Sorry,
wow.
it was really loud, wasn't it? Sorry.
Didn't mean to react like that, but yeah, that was shockingly
Yeah,
voluminous.
sorry, it was like right next to you.
No, it's
Oh, this might be good.
what you got. What you got. What you got.
Looks like open with.
Oh,
So this might be perfect to demonstrate my sort of process.
yeah. What's the set?
I don't know. I think this might be actual city planning. It was in a folder of like, excuse me, 70s photos.
Okay, yeah. So maybe an architecture design firm
Yeah,
doing a
it could be.
mock-up.
Um, so yeah, I'll just get right into it. I realize that there's more elegant tools for doing this, but I, like my dad, tend to use Photoshop as analogously as possible. So I have really stupid ways of doing a lot of stuff, but it works. So I'm going to draw a triangle shape object. I'm going to set a small stroke. Come on. At, I'm going to let's lock that. There.
And then you can scale the triangle.
Kind of.
Huh.
First, I'm going to make a second triangle because I'll need this in a minute. I'm going to make that one red. Oops. Okay, awesome. So hide that one. Okay, so you're about to see why I chose this setting. This is very silly the way I do this. Actually, let me just, for some reason, it gave me soft corners on this triangle. I don't know why it did that.
No. No.
Oh, I see. Because it gave me a radius. I'm going to just redo those real quick.
No problem. I'm kind of just playing with gradients in mine because I wanted to do the sky.
The gradients are one that I'm intimidated by. It's like one of the techniques that I use a lot when I'm illustrating is that I use the pencil tool, like all hard edge brushes,
Mm-hmm.
makes bucketing colors really, really fast. Also, I use like 1 or 2 layers, which tends to make a lot of newer digital artists kind of scream.
Right.
So let's just like merge. Okay, so let's work some magic. Yes. Let's pick some. Actually, let's pick some buildings that are closer to each other. Go there and there, and then we pull this way up there. And you see what I've done is I have mapped the lines of convergence off of the structures. So this is like a line here. This is a line here.
Yeah.
Have one set going in one direction, or Billy Zaning, as the kids say. And then I'll put that there, and why not this one here, and then go whoop.
So that the lines are parallel to
Uh,
the vanishing point.
yeah, exactly. So that's going to go a little further. And would you look at that? We have both of these lines set up. I'm just going to fill it in a little bit to get it exactly the way I want it.
Right. So now, as long as you don't move your vanishing point, you can move the other points
We
to.
now have a set of rulers that if we move it, you will notice that it aligns just about perfectly to all the other buildings in this scene, provided they are where they're supposed to be and not like twisted. That was one of the things that drove me insane when I was trying to learn this stuff, because the whole thing with these grids and perspectives and like lines of convergence and so on, it all works as long as everything in the scene is exactly on the same alignment grid. The second one of these objects is twisted along any axis, everything goes out the window. Then that object has its own set of perspective rules because it's being moved out of alignment with everything else. And as anybody who's seen a real street or real building before, tons of stuff does that. Like, for example, it's like if you were drawing a kitchen, you could get the table, cabinets, floor, pillars, maybe the ceiling, because that would all be aligned and fixed. But a chair in the scene that's turned like 45 degrees does not follow those rules exactly. It's sort of aligned to it, but it has its own set of like lines of convergence and so forth. And that was a major breakthrough, I think, for me, because I struggled with perspective for a really long time, and anything that I can do to make it an easier process, I think I will do so. So the other thing I'm going to do, so what I tend to do is if I have reference like this, I basically reverse engineer the scene, where I will take these measurements like you saw with these lines, and then I can start recreating buildings using those rulers. And they're not going to correspond exactly to buildings that are there, but that's fine because you're making your own. And it's going to look, I think, a little better because you're not just like slavishly tracing something, which is also, probably fine. So if we want to do this, the only important thing about this technique is you got to make sure that you don't by accident move your third point, which is all in how you use this. So look at this. So we move those points over, and coincidentally, it lines up right with where that is. So I'm going to unlock this layer, set it to multiply mode, make it less visible. And then we'll grab some blue. And my shortcuts are complaining because they're bastards. Why my shortcuts sometimes just don't work. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is all sort of tilted. I'm just noticing. But that's okay, because I'm going to, we'll see how it turns out when I use my own rules. So if I go straight, that's not going to align, but that's okay, straight. There to there, and to there, and to there, to there. And actually, I'll use a line tool for this part. Pixels. Sort. Oops. I may not get this perfect the first time because there's always weird rules that I forget about.
Right.
So we're almost there. Trying to figure out why. I think there's like a third. Because one of the things that makes photoreference challenging is that there's often a lens distortion.
Right.
And it can be really subtle, which like the whole scene and its perspective is like bulged out slightly.
Right.
So it's just something to be aware of. Maybe what we can do is we will make this building smaller. That's what we mean by references. We're not necessarily just like copying it verbatim. We are referring to it. Oh, I know what you can do. That can go there, that can go over here. And that can go there. We can clean up what we don't want. Oh, you sneaky bugger using anti-alias on me. You know when you like check something and you forget about it?
Yep.
And then later you're like, why is my program performing so weirdly?
Every time.
The one that really gets me is when I accidentally set my opacity or like flow rate to 90%. Then I'm really fucked. It's so bad. So let's do a couple other buildings in here. And then you can see how they will kind of unify together. Like I hear CSP has like perspective, like rulers and stuff like that, and I think
Yep.
Photoshop probably does as well.
It does.
but I don't know where the fuck those are. I'll just do it this way. It's not stupid if it works. Okay, so we'll go. Actually, I'm gonna, just for clarity's sake, I'm gonna change the color on this one to green.
Yeah, get it.
Or I was gonna try to change it to green, but I need to open up the attributes panel, which is always very confusing. I don't know why it does this. Why are you like this? Your father would be so disappointed. There we go. Other things that can work is that there's a lot of talk about how you should never trace.
Right.
And I mean, never say never, right? Because in my mind, there's tracing and then there's tracing. Again, if you're just slavishly copying something,
Right.
it will show. Like, it will be obvious that you've traced it. However, taking some references and like doing a loose tracing off of something to get a look for it and then doing your own thing can be really useful. It's also just like, don't lean on it all the time. Wow, this camera distortion is something else. But I think that might actually be good because it'll show how we're kind of extrapolating our own set of objects from the reference that we're using. So like, if we go there, and like that. Rid of what we don't want. So now we have two building cubes. And these should be in alignment with each other. Like they're using the same set of rulers. So you see, they don't match up exactly to what's being drawn.
Right.
But they work okay. But you could also, sometimes if you're in a hurry, or like say, actually, let me see if I find another example that I can use. So actually, I'll show you the perfect example of something that I do. So there's websites. The one that I use a lot is called Sketchfab.
Okay.
It's an asset store. And the useful thing to me is that it lets you preview the asset packs. And I'm hoping that I have enough video RAM to actually do that.
All right. In Clip Studio on my end, I've dropped a little perspective ruler and drawn a box.
Awesome. I think my computer might not be able to handle that right now, but that's okay because I can use an example. There we go. Okay, so you can grab even a really low res sample image
Right.
and just blow it up and use that as a basis to build a scene. And you could just, come on, apply. Nope. Come on now, there we go. And you could just like quickly prototype what your buildings look like. And then you can add in your own details, maybe borrowing from what's in the photo or 3D, and maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just like quickly do that. Because all we're really taking here is the layout. Royalty-free images are great for reference because you don't care about the watermarks.
Right.
Because like you're not utilizing them in a way that would require that. Particularly if it's like a drawing reference that you're just looking at it to see like what does, a pigeon look like.
Nobody knows.
It's a mystery, There's a lot of conspiracy theories.
All we know is they're feral.
Feral pigeons, no joke. So I'm not going to do every single building, but I'll do a few of them. You can also like photo bash a couple of things together.
Right.
Like you need to add something. Let's see.
Yes. There's our good lad.
So there again, what I do with this is just get like the rough shape of the body, like break it down into its parts. Because if I went, actually, I'll do it both ways, and you can see what I'm talking about.
Right.
When I talk about like tracing versus tracing.
On my end, I've discovered, although I kind of knew that the shape drawing tools can align to the grid or the perspective thing, so I can draw a rectangle and then like snap it to perspective.
Due to international copyright, it looks like Godzilla, but it's not.
Yeah, legally distinct Godzilla.
Awesome. So there's an arm there. There's that. Okay, so then I'm going to do tracing. I'll do this like the quickest, dirtiest possible tracing.
If you give him a little mustache or like mutton chops, we can call him Gomez.
Okay, so if you traced it, that's pretty obviously a photo. And like if you just colored this, it would probably look pretty bad. But now it looks shitty, but there's a reason for that. Because I'm not trying to slavishly duplicate it. I just want the idea. So then I can look at it as reference. And then I can start drawing my own Gotira-san. And then you can start making your own sort of details. Like, and you can also change details like so I've really just taken the proportions, like where everything sort of ought to be. And then while I'm looking at what the thing should look like, I'm sort of doing my own version. So like I don't have to copy these spikes exactly. I can just know where the tall ones are meant to be and then draw my own. And what's good is like eventually you can rely less and less on taking an initial trace. Like the more you familiarize yourself with what stuff looks like, the less you need to rely on it. So nice big meaty leg.
One of Godzilla's most important features. Got thick leg.
Yeah, see, I can even like sort of extrapolate where other details that are not in the photo might be. Like if I take that, sort of imagine if that's where his shoulders are. This is an imperfect art for me because I'm still learning it, but I'll take you through the process anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
So learning is nothing if not making useful mistakes.
I was actually going to ask about sort of a bit of your process for that. Like, do you like actually take time to sit and review after a thing and like take notes or anything like that?
Oh hell no! I just go on to the next one. This is not something that I would necessarily recommend. Learning to draw while you have ADHD is sometimes challenging, and I tend to just sort of like jump from one thing to the next and just keep failing forward at increasing velocity.
Right.
Like taking time to do introspection and thoughtfulness is very difficult for me because it requires a lot of concentration, and it would sort of disrupt my natural kind of flow of working on stuff. But like everybody's gonna find their own thing that works. So if you find it useful to like stop and sit down and look at something after the fact, um, that might be really good for you. So here's other things that I'm doing, like rather than just like trying to copy each spine, I'm sort of looking at the structure of how they're put together. So like this one, they kind of follow a pattern like that,
Yep.
which I can sort of do. And like this is just laying groundwork for detailing later. And like this, the tail is kind of segmented like this. One of the things my mom used to teach in one of the comic and visual storytelling courses she used to teach was she'd get the visual artist to do sculpture,
Right.
because sculpting is a great way to start thinking about things in terms of 3 dimensions.
Yep.
Because this is something that I'm still pretty bad at, but learning. Like thinking of something more than just like its outline. So like that, this is not a very good way of thinking of an object, because the visual information doesn't convey much. Like this is not Godzilla's good side. I think that Godzilla has a really good silhouette, but this is maybe a pose that doesn't do it so well. Yeah, he's still even kind of recognizable.
That might be one of Godzilla's most famous poses. Maybe. Just maybe. Maybe in all of the advertisement.
Oh no, you know what? I'm not thinking silhouette. I'm thinking like depth. Like
Yes.
this is actually a great silhouette. Like you can tell instantly that that's Godzilla, but it has no depth. And if you were trying to draw the rest of the Godzilla from that, uh,
Yeah.
look, just like stuff could happen. Yeah, there's that boy. You also don't need to worry about how much of a mess you make in the sketching phase.
The original films, but googly eyes edited onto Godzilla. That's
That's pretty
kind
good.
of how a lot of kaiju eyes work, anyways. And actually, Form 2 in Shin Godzilla, 100% googly eyes.
Here we go. Open with. Look.
Oh no, who's that? Who could that be?
Let's put him like back here. So here we have a good King Kong, but he's facing the wrong direction. He's like looking off this way, like. So that's not so useful for the scene.
Right.
I'm going to do the same thing with him, and I'm going to, again, like, just getting the basic form. This pointy Donkey Kong head. And then I'm not going to draw the parts that are covered by the buildings. So now we're incorporating elements into the scene. This is Return to Monkey. So if we take that away, we can so we can sort of look at this arm and how it's posed. And then move this over so we can still see what he looks like. We can then alter this pose so that he's facing more this way towards Godzilla. So that would involve ear being more on the side, fangs sort of more being like that.
Thank you for all of the lovely Godzilla gifts pics.
So now it looks like they have an eye line to each other. You know what I mean? So let's get a few more of these buildings in here,
Right.
so that the scene looks a little bit more populated. And actually, while we're at it, let's grab these roads because their buildings only flat. And now that we have Godzilla in the foreground, we don't need to draw all this shit behind him. We could have done that first, but also that like chaotic way I jump around a project is not necessarily something that's going to work for everybody. Like you might need to methodically go through each step in the process.
Right.
I'm just showing you how I do it. I'm also working at like ultra turbo speed. The other cool thing is that, like, if you've worked out where the perspective lines are, actually, like, we can use these triangles again for this scene, which they might work better on. So we'll say, actually, use this road as our reference point. I think that'll work well.
I'm still playing with the perspective rulers on my end.
Awesome. Lots of futzing involved with art. So there's one. And then we'll get this other one. Put that, I don't know, top of this building. And then one of the rows of windows. Yank it way out. No, it has to come further.
You've gone too far.
No, I think that works okay.
I don't know. Might have to call the cops back.
You'll never take me alive. Actually, maybe if we do there and there, grab that one. I think that's got it. So now these should correspond to, yep, that works for the rest of the buildings. So that comes in handy. This kind of ruler comes in handy when you're doing like vertical details, like say this building, for example.
Right.
And because if you were to say, for example, just draw a line straight across, and then it's not going to work because by the time you get to the bottom, the angle will have shifted. That's no good. Well, I mean, it'll look unnatural.
Okay.
So if you have, actually, unhide this. Come on now. So if you use your rulers, which are now connected to the scene in the right alignment, and then just use those, you go. And you don't even have to do every single window. You can like skip some. We'll do the whole side of this building so we can see how it looks, and hopefully it will work out the way I want it to. Cat, I'm warning you. Please don't do this. It's important that you stop.
No, it's time for love.
Cat has been exceptionally bratty today. So important to note for doing this technique in Photoshop, I'm using the white arrow direct selection tool to grab just the 2 points on the end. And it leaves this point way out in space where it is. And you just move these two. So then once I've done this, you'll probably be able to see the effect. And then I'll show you some other stuff that you can do. Baxter is a menace, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, sometimes when we have like production calls, or I think when we used to record Warp Line by remote, it was like this balancing act that Graham and Kathleen had to do to like keep the cat from like crying nonstop.
yep.
They had to keep him in the office because otherwise he would go and bother Penelope. Cat, why are you like this? Yeah, he really likes the screen. Bonk, bonk. Do. Hey. So now the building looks more natural in the scene because its lines of convergence are going to correspond to the rest of the scene. But sometimes, actually, who the fuck even has time for that, right?
Right.
You're on a deadline. You don't have time to be reasonable. So why don't we simplify even that? Go there and there.
Yep.
And then see we've got the vertical parts um, of the building. Transform. Distort.
That is exactly what I'm doing. I have
Okay, we did it.
transformed, and then you line up with your perspective stuff. You have to do like a free transform. It can't just be scaling because you have to
Yeah. So
skew your points.
you absolutely have to skew it. Multiply. And we will erase the parts that are overlapping. What? Come on now. So erase this building, which is intersecting. Erase it from his hand. And then merge it. So look, we have a building face.
Ba-bum.
Blah, 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 blah. And we could actually use that same grid. So it's like if this building is 2, 4, 6, 7, like a third as wide as it is tall. I'm just guessing here.
Yeah.
And take that. We'll do that color process first. Blink. Whoops. Oh my god! Okay, you know what? Fucking pain in the ass. You can hang out with the stream if you sit right here and you fucking behave. Come on, you love bed. This is my one offer. Yes, sit in the cauldron. It's that or nothing.
Does not want to sit in cauldron.
AE Cauldron. I could keep wary of whether she decides to just like force her way into my lap, which can be very disastrous.
Right.
So here we go. So use that same pattern that I used on front. I definitely should have grabbed the lines for that. Just sort of smoosh it in here. Actually, we can even use the points on the rest of the building as a guide. So we're trying to align all those marks up to all these marks. Just a lot of like fucking around with the skew tool.
Well, we're gonna do a break, but since Lurbot's not operational right now, it'll be harder for me to do subs at the end. So I'm going to thank some people right now, starting with Oldavar, who subbed for 6 months. Fragile Paper, 47 months, thank you. Spoops Ahoy, 43 months. Tenno Hyena, 3 months, thank you. We got a Prime sub from Arvorus, thank you. Demon Fire gifted a sub to the cat. And Shattered Shamrock's resub, 47 months, thank you. Let's go on break.
All right.
See you again soon. Welcome back, everybody, to Can't Draw Horses Club. Today, Alex and I are discussing backgrounds. And big cheats, such as using references or digital tools.
No cheating. Actually, if you ever go into the comments threads of people on Twitter who talk about, like, chill, you're not cheating. In fact, some people think that you can't cheat at art, which is possible. Like, I still think that there's little corner cases where, like, you know, if you're stealing somebody else's work, what was it? The lead singer for Kiss. What was his name?
Tongue Man.
Tongue Man. Tongue Man's son,
Right.
who, like, traced panels from Bleach for his manga.
Right.
Ian Simmons, yeah. And, like, they weren't, like, a little bit like it. They were just, oh, you just copied this. Like, that's cheating. That's shitty. And you suck.
Yeah.
But luckily, it's so obvious that, you know, he got caught immediately. Don't do that.
Trying to find you a good picture of Gomez.
You know what really tickles me? And this is actually a great example of, excuse me, the correct tool is the one that works for you. Some people will design scenes for reference in Minecraft.
Is someone listening to the news loudly in your background?
Maybe? Let me go shut the door. I didn't think my microphone is that sensitive. It may have been a podcast.
Oh, there we go. Sent you a link to Legally Distinct Godzilla.
me see. She's finally settled down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, keep it right there.
Unfortunately, I can't draw if I keep it right there.
Too bad. We're a cat stream now.
Maybe if I... Perfect.
Yep. This is the whole.
I swear to God, if you sit your ass back down. I'm so angry. Fuck's sake.
Ah.
And champagne. But yeah, as I was saying, using Minecraft to lay out scenes, which is a perfectly good idea, actually. Like, if you know how to build stuff in Minecraft and you can use it to draw or to like set up a scene for your comic or illustration or whatever, do it. You don't need to feel lesser in some way because you're not using the proper tools. Excuse me. I think this came up on a different server. Somebody was like, what was it they were trying to do? They were like, I don't have Photoshop and I want to like add text or something to this image. And I was like, you do not need Photoshop for that.
Get yourself a Xerox.
Well, it's also like I use Photoshop for everything because it's what I know. People keep trying. Well, like a couple of people keep trying to get me to use Clip Studio because it's Clip is a like designed to be a drawing program, so it has a lot of strengths based on that. But of course, there's a learning curve to everything. And being the impatient guy that I am, sometimes I'm just like, I could just like keep doing it this way. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, I'm sort of on my heresy grind. My one layer and my hard round 10-point pencil. That's how I do all of my artwork. I was going to open something to show you, but anytime I'm on this stream, I get really, really nervous about opening my recent documents queue. Fucking dangerous, man.
For those who may not know, Alex does some not safe for work anythings.
Which is a proud as I am of that work. Sorry. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Proud as I am of that work. I do keep it very much separate from a lot of the stuff I do on Lure, because PG-13 does not mix with X.
H.
Oh god, there's children present. Don't show them a booba. But yeah, like my sometimes when I open up my like recently saved documents, I'm like, gosh, I hope nobody sees this. Yeah, let's get some Monkey reference. See where the fuzzies go. I see there's like a bald patch there. I tend to put my reference material like right in Photoshop.
Right.
So I can sort of distort or move it however I feel like. Or I can even like mask off areas So if I'm like working really close to something, I'll just take that one area that I want. Um, I have an easier time um, if the reference is as close to the illustration as possible. I wonder if that's an ADHD thing. I can't keep sequences of numbers in my head.
Mm.
Like if it's more than 5, maybe 6 numbers, I can't hold it for more than like 5 seconds.
Welcome, Raiders. Hope you're all having a good day today.
We are returning to Monkey.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a much easier time remembering sequences of like words than numbers. I can memorize things. I think 14 is usually like a sequence I can get,
Yeah.
but that takes work.
So like never gonna give you up.
I mean, it's much easier if they're in a song or something. I was thinking the other night, when I was a kid, one of the teachers at my school was doing a specific challenge that people who read the Bible do, which is to memorize verbatim King James versions
I'm
of
always
specifically long passages, and then you get like a little trophy.
I'm always sort of shocked and impressed at people who can actually like quote verse, and it's like it's kind of just a common thing that people do. If they have like sometimes it's just a couple quotes, and other times it's like big long ass tracts, where they can identify um, where somebody is referencing.
Yeah,
I'm just like shit.
yeah. I blame let's see, some of my jealousy about memorization on the movie Powder, because there's scenes in the where the super genius child memorizes everything on every page, and then you just list a page number and they can spout it off, and it's like, oh, I wish that and turning into a being of pure energy were totally possible.
Yeah, I mean, if you hugged a hydrogen bomb when it went off, you could probably turn into a being of pure energy.
Well, I mean, matter is a form of energy.
Yeah, I mean, like you would turn into thermal energy as you were converted instantly into plasma.
You wouldn't sublimate a human, would you?
I would absolutely sublimate a human.
Yeah, honestly, I think the matter in our bodies is a little too dense to react.
I'm
We're mostly
not.
like carbon.
Yeah. Let's do water. There you go. Could even do something like, to me, anything goes in the. Um,
You gonna rotate that arm?
yeah,
Oh,
in
oh,
the.
that's anatomically.
Achoo! King Kong, coming up.
Yeah, it's like I didn't know King Kong ate the gummy fruit. Oh wow.
Um. So what I'm gonna do is flip this vertically, and then turn the fist around because it's
You gotta cap the thumb on the correct side, or else.
yeah, that's bad. So now, yeah, that works. That was silly. So you see, we got a little bit of a scene coming together here now. It's just like it's the really bare basics, but you can see how just a little work kind of fills it out. And this is one of the things that I was talking about for inferring kind of detail. So for a scene like this, I think you could do a little more detail on the buildings in the foreground, like, I don't know, like this one, 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 of course. Top of this one, why not? This one, and then maybe this one. And then the rest, as they sort of recede into the background, you could probably stand to do less detail on. Because, like, the focus is in the middle of the scene here.
I think you gotta kind of think of the depth of field that you can play with.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit like having a depth of field with a camera where, like, the foreground is in sharp focus and the background is blurred. You can do literally that using effects, or you can just become more abstracted as, like, the buildings get further out. So, like, if we're just at the phase where these are blue, but if I were to start working on finishing some of these, could do this real quick.
Oh, yes.
So if I wanted to do a building like here in very abstracted detail, I would still try to get the angle correct. And what I would do is go boop, boop, straight down, boop, boop. Oops. I goofed it.
Oh no.
That's okay. I goofed it in a way that is fixable.
Rip.
Yeah, I was drawing in the wrong layer.
Do you ever, like, lock your layers to preserve them?
I do. The most often time that happens is when I'm transferring or transitioning from one, from, like, working on roughs to background, exactly like I did there. But you can fix it. I might not even need this now, but yeah, throw it in there. So this would be a building in the background. Like, that's it. I don't think it would need much more detail than that.
The work is complete.
Yeah, I'll do it on just a couple more to give you the idea. I'll also drive people insane by using one layer.
Criminal.
Oh, but what if I want to change that fourth sclera highlight?
Ew.
Like, I this is one of my, like, pet sort of, like, artwork pet peeves. It's like, you are using too many goddamn layers. It is like, layers are useful and powerful, and you should use them if they are useful to you. But every time I see or hear about some artist who uses, like, a million layers, to me it really betrays a sense of, like, profound insecurity and like, hesitation and fear of commitment to anything. Like, they want to leave all their avenues open in case they change them, but it's like, you won't. Like, you're not gonna change them. And I think you're making way too much work. Like, when I personally kind of find the idea that there's a search function for layers kind of absurd. I mean,
Do you name your layers?
um sometimes if I start getting like at most I'll use like maybe a dozen layers, and it'll be for like the time that I use layers a lot is when there's like distinct foreground background stuff
Yep.
that I want to alter separately. Like I will the layers that I use for like a comic project or even like an illustration, um, I'll have like a foreground element layer um, that's transparent around it, and then a background element layer, so I can alter those separately, because like that's a useful function to have.
Right.
But for the background, I'm not going to have like, you know, like 10 different process effects and like layers and stuff. And I've seen, Jesus, I swear I've seen some people who will save a layer for like every fucking brushstroke. And I just don't get it. It seems like a nightmare. The defense of it I heard one time that was very bizarre was like, we have the computing power to keep track of and render that many layers, so why not use it? It's like, what?
So you basically just really like working within the limitation.
It's not even that. It's just like I use as much of it or as little of it as I need, because I think going any further than that is just clutter, and it's just not useful. Like the question I asked is just like, well, what's it actually doing for you? Like, do you actually utilize having those outs? Do you actually go back and change that, like force sclera highlight? Probably not. Like I'm guessing that you don't. And in which case it's like, well, then why bother? So this is like my old man yells at cloud kind of thing. I think that the discourse between traditional digital artists is dumb and shouldn't happen, because one is not better than the other. But of course, because it's the internet, everybody has to have supremacy somewhere. Each has their strengths and weaknesses. But they're both very good. And it's like, why not learn both? I mean, even before Jake Parker became an asshat, I had to stop participating in Inktober, because anytime I talked about it, people would just get so up my shit about being an elitist, because I was like, you should try, just for once, just during this challenge, try drawing with physical media. Just give it a shot, that's all. Just try it out. And the fucking pushback you get from suggesting that is insane. The one that I'll always treasure is the guy who very accusingly came into my mentions being like, are you going to pay for the special paper and pens? And
Yes.
I mean, it was really funny, but it was also like, you don't even understand what it is that you're opposing. Like, you don't have your grasp of how this works is so flimsy that you think it's this kind of like super refined, like uber ivory tower art school stuff. It's like, no, get a Sharpie and copier paper and have at it. It's not about the tools. It's never about the tools. And that, goes for any tool you want to use. So, online art is weird. There's a thing. Hey, look, I made some shapes.
Oh.
So you see how I made them different colors just to differentiate them. If I was going to finish this scene, I would probably be like, I all want them to be that color. I'm gonna sort of fuck my values a little bit, but whatever. But you see what I mean about how you can like assemble a scene that starts like looking like an actual place very simply. And so in the foreground, we can do a little bit more detail. Yeah, Sharpie bleeds through the paper, absolutely. But to me, that means draw quickly and don't be precious about it.
Ah,
Like, I think there's a lot of value in kind of letting go of some stuff and just realizing that you can make mistakes, and even if you do fuck up really bad, you can fix it like more easily than people think. Like I think people are terrified of running out of undos or having um, to repair too much shit. And again, like I think that's not necessarily like a rational fear.
hmm.
I think it's one of those like perfect is the enemy of good kind of things. And I empathize because I think that artists, particularly young artists, are put on under like an unbelievable amount of pressure to perform.
Right.
Like not necessarily by anything other than the existence of the internet itself, where you get to see everybody's highlight reels, and it's like this kid is 12 years old and he draws, like professionally, and you're like, oh my god, I'm 20, I'm a fossil. It's like, please stop. You've got to quit doing that shit. It creates this like supremely competitive atmosphere that is of benefit to no one, least of all the artists. I think the studios that mine young enthusiasm for talent on the cheap are the only ones that benefit from that insecurity. I want to be a star, don't you, kid?
I'm playing with the tone generation.
Ooh, Zipatone.
Yeah.
Time was, I
Had to
think,
buy a tone yourself. Cut it out. Paste it
yeah,
down.
I think that Japan keeps that industry kind of alive because
Yes.
there's so much tradition to it. Like all the mangaka used to use toner, and tone is it's a transparent like adhesive substance that has a dotted pattern printed on it, and you would razor out the shape of the area that you wanted to apply toning to, and then stick it down in place. And in some cases, you would use the razor to scrape away highlights. It's very cool stuff and like fun to use. I mean, it's very old school, but I love stuff like that. It's been ages since I've used like ink.
Really?
Yeah, I've been pushing really hard on digital stuff, and I just haven't done any like pen and ink drawings in a while. Um, I'm sure if I went back to it, I wouldn't be like riding a bike, but I've just been having a lot of fun working in digital space. Coloring is a lot easier here.
That's good.
Although, I mean, like, easier is a relative term. I didn't realize that digital programs don't blend color very well, and that
It
there's like,
depends.
yeah, I mean, it depends, but I saw like how a lot of programs um, will try to blend colors, and it won't behave the way it does in real life. Like you can't use primaries to mix your colors. I've never really played with color mixing before, but it seems kind of cool. The other thing is that if you do both, the way you integrate one into the other is I'm using reference is it matters a lot. Like one of the things that I really lament about Masamune Shirow's later career isn't just that he, stopped drawing cerebrally interesting procedural dramas and stuff about transhumanism, is that he started using this like god awful 3D CGI that looked so out of place with his line work.
Right.
Oh, it was horrendous. It just like didn't mesh at all. Right tool for the right job with the right application, IMO. Sometimes that involves like the right blend. I know we were like supposed to be doing background, but here I am rendering Godzilla's thighs.
It's all in the details.
It really is. But you can sort of see what I'm doing. And again, I'm doing this like super fast, but I'm not following my, in air quotes, pencils exactly. I'm just using them as like a guide to where the ridges are sort of going.
Spacing, kind of angle.
Yeah. I do really loose pencils. Some people will do like incredibly tight pencils that are like 90% of the way to final. It's like, well, if that works for you, whatever. But I tend to go like very, very loose, and then I add all the details. Well, not all the details, but a lot of the details in the inking paths. You were asking earlier about whether I have a swatch for these blue tones. I just use the default CS4 swatches, which I actually imported from a previous version. I used Photoshop CC, and I was so used to using the default swatches that I swiped them and brought them over. It's a perfectly generic set of colors, but it's there. But I have started making my own swatches. So like for space shipping, my comic, please go read it, I have a set of swatches for characters. So like I have the character's skin tone and the shadow,
right,
and then like dark shadow, and then her sort of like eye, light, medium, dark. And I think this is that's for this like dark purple, is for her bionic parts, and then this is for the jumpsuit.
So did you just kind of sketch out your character and then color pick from there and save them as swatch, or did you actually like sit down and work out a palette?
I don't know where I came up with this color palette in the first place, but I did like pull it off of the character once I was finished. I guess I'll just like, when I design a character, I'll just sort of like mess with it and poke it around. Sometimes I'll like hue shift to get it to what I want it to look like. So I'll paint in like these older colors, like burnt, and I'll be like, I don't know, maybe make it like green or red or blue, or I'll just sort of like move a slider until it's like okay, that looks nice, and then like I can oversaturate or undersaturate. Like I've been finding a lot of fun like desaturating a little bit, like even just about 50%. Color saturation is like how intense it is. So if it's at 0, it's like that. If you crank it way up, it's like vivid exploding. If you crank it way down, it gets like washed out until it eventually becomes black and white. What does this have to do with Bitcoin?
Gotta make yourself a little floaty QR code.
Uh,
Sorry, just the way the one Godzilla was behind the other Godzilla. It's
Godzilla's stand is another Godzilla.
yeah.
Sawardo. Oh man. Actually, what would be funny is if it was a cartoon Godzilla whose stand was like a realistic, like, I guess Tokusatsu Godzilla. Is Tokusatsu specifically like Power Rangers or
No, Super
is it like
Sentai is specifically Power
right?
Rangers.
Is
Tokusatsu is the rubber suit fighting.
oh, okay, so I did have it right. Awesome.
Yeah, it
like
applies to
an
all
actual
sorts of things like Metal Heroes or Gridman or Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider.
Ah,
So it's
just
sort of robot guy on a motorcycle.
yeah, just some sort of guy on a motorcycle. I just got happy feelings remembering that Shin Ultraman's coming out soon, and then
Oh
we get
yeah,
Shin Kamen Rider.
I saw a
Oh,
picture of Hideaki Anno like dancing with all his childhood faves,
yeah,
and it was very cute.
I mean, he got married in a Kamen Rider costume, so
Oh fuck! I think I forgot that. What a cool guy.
it's Miyazaki's favorite son.
He sure doesn't like his own son. Although I've heard that that's not necessarily true either.
I don't even. I
Yeah, this is my other old man yells at cloud thing, because a lot of time like there's kind of a subset of like anime critics who really seem to have it in for Miyazaki-san, and they're like determined to paint him as this like grumpy old man who hates everything, and sometimes they'll like bring his family life into it. And what I have to say to this is like, that's irrelevant and none of your fucking business anyway. Um, like, what does that have to do? Like, what does his home life have to do with Totoro? Um, like, it
yeah
really is. It's the. I mean, it's no different than any other celebrity goss shit, where it's like, that's actually none of your concern and not something that reflects on his work at all. And it's just like they're looking for you know a like a gap in the armor to kind of poke away at this guy who's a legend and with good cause. And the scenes that are most frequently taken out of like the documentaries are the ones of him being like really miserable and introspective. And that's not even counting the ones that are like misquoted or actually just like putting words in his mouth. And they conveniently miss the places where he does stuff like, there was a part in that documentary where he makes ramen for the whole studio. It was like they take turns making food for everybody, and he made like homemade instant noodles. I don't know. It's just like, get a job you like. Like, I'm not immune to how funny the memes are sometimes, where it's like what Miyazaki's like versus his anime, or what I don't know is like versus his anime. It's like, no, okay, I see what you did there. but it's also just like, okay, man. I mean, critics suck shit anyway. Like, they're just the worst kind of fucking bottom feeders.
Oh no.
Hmm?
Kirby from memory is kind of hard.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, your Godzilla could just be mouthful Kirby, you know?
That's weird. Actually, I think I could do Kirby from memory pretty well because I drew him recently.
Dead black eyes. Sclera highlights on the fourth layer.
His shoes are red, right?
I think so.
Red shoes and nothing else.
It's not a bad Kirby.
I was thinking the other day about how the Great Cave Offensive is such a fucking bop. I haven't played like a new Kirby game in ages because like the last one that I played and adored was Kirby All Star, and I'm just like, yep, this game's perfect. I don't think I ever need to play a Kirby game ever again. I mean, like I'm sure they're all really great, but I was just like, one of those weird things, like the way I interact with media. Like I am now, at long last, watching Cowboy Bebop, because I think
Because it came out in English, you know.
No,
they made one
because-
for North American audiences.
Christ Almighty, like even having not watched the series before seeing the live action adaptation come out, I was like, this looks like it's going to be garbage, and evidently it was. And there was a lot of people insisting that it wasn't. It's like, maybe it is actually really crappy, and maybe it didn't need to happen. Maybe not everything has to be adapted for Americans to warrant existence or to be valid. I think Ian and I are in agreement about this kind of thing, about how if you're going to watch a foreign film, it's not a requirement, but I think it's prudent to actually watch a foreign film and like in its like as close to its original form as possible, which gets into the whole like sub versus dub debate, which is just a mess. But like when I watch a movie from overseas, I was like, I want to see it in all its like unusual cultural context and so forth. Like I want to see that shit. I don't want it adapted for my sensibilities. Like I don't want a character holding up a fucking rice ball and going, "What a cool donut." Like I think that's bad. I think that's very bad. Like I love when I've only fairly recently started watching like Korean movies and TV. Like I watched Squid Game and really liked it, and
That was good.
watched a couple other things, and it's great because you get to see all these like little cultural shibboleths that you don't see in any other movies. Like something I've noticed in Korean movies is they use cell phones as a plot device a lot. Like a lot. It is very frequently. It's very frequently like a part of the story, and like just a really natural form of communication, which I think is just like it's a really interesting little detail. So like in movies like what's the train zombie one?
Train to Busan or Train to
Yeah,
Busan 2.
like people are texting each other. People send like pictures back and forth. There's like little things about like cell phones going off at inopportune times in movies. Um, yeah, it's really good. It's it is broadening to learn about other cultures. I'm not going to like stand on your neck and demand like try to force feed you knowledge from other places. I'm just going to tell you that it's like it makes for a more complete human experience, and I think that's very valuable. And there's valid reasons to shun stuff like subtitles. Sure, like there's lots of reasons to prefer dubs for stuff, but um, there's also ones that are not as valid, I think. But of course, like if you try to have this discussion on the internet, it immediately polarizes into some sort of like dumbass shit fight because people don't actually want to discuss or learn anything. They want to win. See how our Godzilla works. Oops. Oh,
Godzilla's front half not attached to his back half.
that's fine. We can just purge that. But yeah, that's not a bad Godzilla.
Watch me saw Godzilla in half.
So here's another example of like reference. This reference picture has been very, very badly like cropped out.
Yeah,
We have no idea what his feet look like.
could be anything.
Could be anything. You know what? I will guess what his feet look like. That's a good idea.
If it's
This will work.
big, flat suit feet. You're gonna give him a little bit of a heel?
Big gnarly lizard toes. Kojiro-san, banzai! Kojiro-san, banzai! Something that I'm starting to sort of like scratch the surface of is Soviet and Soviet era and like com block films, which are really weird. Some of them are just bizarre. I was also watching some Soviet cartoons last night, and they're a complete gas. And it actually like made me very nostalgic because the first time I absorbed a lot of anime back in the 80s and 90s, when the source for all anime was like bootleg tapes, or I was very fortunate. My dad had a laserdisc player, so we would get like imported laserdiscs to watch, and I would watch these movies untranslated, and I watched a lot of the Miyazaki films untranslated, and what I think stuck with me was that the visual storytelling in the movies was so good that you didn't need subtitles to follow what was going on. Like later, when I would watch it with subtitles, it would fill in a couple of little blanks and add sort of depth to it. But that's something that I've really hung on to, is just like, if your visual storytelling is good enough, it will transcend language and culture.
All right, I'm gonna go check in on the subs, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
Scrolling. All right, Space Potato. Zong, Lure are streaming giant monster art. 3 of my favorite things rolled into one experience. Should just change the stream title. CEPJR54. Hello, welcome to the channel. Molly cheered with 69 bits for old man yelling at clouds about something. I don't remember what. Matthew Dennis MTG with that 2-year resub. Thanks for this and all your streams. You're welcome, and thank you for being here today. Aquinas just resubscribed. 49 months. Almost the 1 year. So, how about we take another breaky break for some messages, and then we can get back and mostly just talk about anime.
That works for me.
All right. Be back shortly. Happy Valentine's Day, Club. I brought you an Alex.
Well, hang on. Oh, actually. All right, well, that's interesting.
I guess you belong to chat now.
DMs are open.
All right.
I brought a present that is not related to Valentine's Day, but relevant to the discussion.
Is it on your screen?
It is.
Let's go have a look, chat. Wait a minute, that's my screen. Anyways, here. What is this?
So I went and opened up a document that was definitely for sure safe to show.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be good because it has a lot of background stuff. So this was a commission piece that I did, and this was the drawing they did for me. And I can't stress enough how useful it is to have drawings like this, because they're actually helpful when you're working on something. Because this was a character that I drew as part of a it was like a prompts on Twitter thing, and they liked it so much they wanted to commission a full piece based on it.
Right.
And that was their prompt, this little pen drawing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and
useful.
So I put together a bunch of roughs for it, and I sort of want to just go through some of the process that I did for that. So I grabbed...
Question from chat, are they giving people lunches or taking them?
They are giving lunches. They are bringing lunches to those who have forgotten them. So this was a 3D asset on a store that I looked at, and I took a screenshot of to use as a basis.
Which store? The Adobe?
No, I think it was Sketchfab. Yeah,
okay.
Sketchfab.
Yeah.
And so that was my basis for everything. And from that, I sort of started working on a kind of an outline, and you can see the difference in like how I put this together with the figure being sort of hand drawn, very rough, and then the foreground background details kind of like loosely lined out. I went through a couple of revisions for it. And then eventually, what it ended up looking like is I have foreground, or background, foreground, and then another foreground. This is how it all sort of came together in the end.
Okay.
So I'll show you again. So the background, you can see all the details are sort of in fur. They use lighter tones with a couple of like little details here that the client really wanted to have. So they sort of blend with the background a little bit, so they were kind of out of focus. Whereas the foreground details have like the crisp black lines, so that, you know, they kind of push apart like that. And then I added another layer for the characters, and you can sort of see that that's sectioned out. This is not necessarily the like best way to do it. It was something like this presents a unique challenge because this character is both in the like behind and in front of this middle layer.
Yeah.
So like his foot is behind the desks, but his hand is in front of them. So it's difficult to do that in a way that isn't going to require several layers. So I just did like a cutout. I have all these homies here. And as I was working on it, these are a bunch of the references that I used, and you'll see that a lot of them don't correspond exactly to anything in the scene, because this is part of how you use references. Like, I looked at what a hand pinching something looked like. You get sort of bag placing a little bit. I looked at what a hand holding a phone receiver looks like. For the guy in the foreground, I didn't draw the cord, just fuck it.
Yeah, kind of how people's clothes rumple when they slouch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does a guy sitting in a chair look like? And, you can extrapolate from that. I don't think I made these shirts nearly lumpy enough, but this one's not so bad. So again, like, that's the way you use reference matters. Like, picking what reference you use, how you observe it, and how you interpret those details matters. So it's like, point is just like use it, and then be thoughtful about how you use it, and continue to learn. Because, like I said, like, curation is a thing. Knowing where to look for reference is a thing. Knowing how to search for things is a thing. Finding websites that are useful are a thing. Actually, what I can do is I have a couple other background tips. I'm just trying to think of a good example. If you could just tab away from my window for a second. It's probably fine.
Blam.
I'm going to find a particular page that's going to work.
I was thinking about one thing that you could do for twisted buildings is if you lay out your floor plan first.
Yeah, the floor plan and then vertical.
Yeah, you twist it, or then you transform it so that it lies on your floor of your thing, and then you can use that to set up your perspective lines for the twisted building, separate from the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Just looking for a particular page that I wanted to use as an example. Yeah, this might work. 1 second. That was not the one that I thought it was. It must be page 5. Yes.
Okay, so now I want to layer with my guys.
There we go. Okay. I can show you this. So here's a page from my comic, and what I wanted to draw your attention to is it's way in the background.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's all solid. So this pattern here, actually, I love this. Give me 1 second. I'll find it. This is such a gas. Greebles. We got Greebles 2. So I spent an afternoon with some photographs of the models from Red Dwarf.
Right.
And I traced those into a flat pattern. Which you can do with just about anything. Again, the details are very simple. So now I can just grab a chunk of any of these and then distort it when I need like a quick background. So it's not a tool that I would use all the time, but to just add a little bit of depth to something or a little bit of background detail, I can do that. I also templated all these shipping containers. Like I have an image that I drew from an actual shipping container so that I can like paste
Right.
that layout onto each one of them.
It's kind of do it once.
And shipping containers are turned out to be like a pretty good exercise in this sort of thing because they're all exactly cubular and they often sort of stack together. And then once I don't have the sort of progress through. Oh, actually, you can see that right there, how I pasted it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see, so it doesn't keep everything, but you could even just like paste it in and then draw over top of it.
Yep.
Sort of like get a better look because sometimes when you paste like this, you can see that it's being squeezed and stretched, and that can sometimes look kind of obvious. So if you use it as a guideline and sort of draw your own details so that it still looks like your brush stroke, that can help. What was I going to say? I do the same for textures, actually.
You work them?
Yeah. So I'll get like a, let's see, what's this one was? Building your own sets of templates is really useful. This is like a grime texture of some sort, where you just like crank the contrast a lot and then turn it into a black and white image. And so then there's a transparency there. And then you can take this and put it anywhere. And you can distort it however you need to. So like, this is going to be like a weird example, but if you take something like this, you can use it like so. And then if you distort it a little bit to follow the lines of convergence, it looks a little better.
Do you ever do that for like cylinders or like tattoos on characters?
Yes, actually. Oh, the perfect example. One of my characters, named Riley, and I, like an idiot, was like, I'll design a character with 2 full tattoo sleeves.
Yep.
So I was like, well, this will make my life marginally easier. So I did this template. So anytime I need to draw her tattoo sleeves, which is a lot, I have this sort of reference. I sort of hunted around and found. I think this was like actually specifically a tattoo design template.
Right.
But like you can do this any way you want. And I'll sometimes like just take the image and like paste it and warp it, or then I'll draw it like chunkier so that it follows, or I'll just have it next to the image in case I have to like draw it a little small. So I'm continually doing little details and templates and so forth for characters. These are fairly pretty tattoos, though.
Yeah.
I like them. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I templated. Oh yeah, like let's see. I did one of. You can do this for anything. It's actually very useful. I did one of a keyboard.
Hell yeah.
A very specific.
Such a pain to draw a keyboard. Oh, piano. You could do it for piano too.
Yeah, fuck drawing every single goddamn key on a keyboard. Fuck that. That's stupid. That's busy work. Also, because I designed a very unique keyboard, you can see this one has English and Cyrillic on it because it's a weird thing. It's also like sort of references Commodore keyboards. So I have this as a template anytime I need it. What else do I have? Right, I have other kinds of greebles. And you can use as much or as little of these as you want. Like this is another texture sites like textures.com are really useful. You can download free to use free images for free, and then just like spend a little while tracing them or tracing parts that are useful, and then you can just have those as templates. So you could like grab a little section of pipes to put in somewhere and just add some detail to a scene. And then, like, even then, you can take that and then enhance the details. Like, this looks kind of flat.
Yeah.
But then you can take that, your sensibility of what objects look like in 3D space, and you can make it look more like an actual pipe that is in 3D space.
I suppose having templates would be really good for graffiti.
They're very useful for graffiti. I don't have a lot of graffiti, but they would be perfect for, especially like graffiti that you had to repeat, like if it was a particular tag or something. What is graffiti if not tattoos for buildings? So we'll do like that, like that, like that. Just make that a little bit more in situ. And then like every little detail that shows depth of the object is going to sell its existence. Now this looks like building with, pipes wrapped around it, as opposed to something you pasted in place.
Dope.
So yeah, like it's yeah, I think that the best results you're gonna get is if you like paste and distort something and then finesse it. Sometimes it'll look fine if you just like paste and distort it, but I think it's really worthwhile if you go in and like blend it with the scene like I did. So then it looks further away from something that was like added from outside. You can spend forever on this, but this is how it go. What a weird building.
That building's gone through some things. Very avant-garde.
We were just really into brutalism in the 70s. Well, actually, I guess it was more the 80s. Actually, yeah, let's work on this building. Use the blue. By the way, the reason I use blue is no reason. Blue used to have an actual function in illustration. It's called photo blue, and it was a color, like a specific color of blue that would not be reproduced by Xerox machines.
It's the same reason teachers mark stuff in red pen.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was because it looked kind of like, fuck you got it wrong. But I did not know that. But yeah, photo blue would not reproduce, so you could do your pencils in photo blue and then ink and not have to erase the pencils. They would just not reproduce. And that was very useful. There's no reason to not use blue. It's a pleasing color that you can tell is not part of the final composition. so that's useful. Um, but like even like my dad will rough things out in like red, so all this stuff will look like
And it's not like a pencil crayon. It is erasable.
no. Yeah, well, it's an erasable pencil crayon. So yeah, like all this stuff looks like this. It's like there's no reason to just like pick a color you like. Like personally, I think like just my personal taste would be like a really hot, bright color. This makes my eyes hurt.
Yeah, I like a hot pink or a hot green.
Yellow is invisible and looks like shit.
I mean,
But
I like a hot green unless Angel is specifically doing it.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just work on one building here, and we can sort of show you how to do some detail work. So we're going to use our guides that we set earlier to just grab some angles or to recheck some angles. You can see it's like a little off from what we drew in the first place, but that's fine. Oops.
Do you ever work in Vector?
I do, but only for design stuff. Like I don't ever draw in Vector. Vector is also really, really good for templating. Like certain, it's awesome for like logos that you need to have in a piece. It's great for like technical details, like repeated details. Actually, I can show you another one. Where is it? Change window because this will launch in Illustrator. Vectors is great because it will scale to any size you want, and you won't lose any fidelity. Excuse me. Yeah, I think I need to change my window for this. Let's
Okay.
see.
Fingers crossed, or I can go back to
No, I
Booth
think I
and you
can. I
can
think I can do
reload.
it. I just got to figure out what button it is. Window. Bonk. There we go.
Oh, that makes sense.
So yeah, this is an example of what I do in Illustrator. Is I watched a bunch of movies and then swiped their panels.
Yep.
So now I have all these cool looking control panels that are very simplified from what they actually look like. If I can find where the actual photos are that I used. And there we go. So yeah, here's like some examples. Like I'll take photos and images, and this is great because like you can take something like this, which isn't even in the right perspective, and just knowing where all the shit is, you sort of recreate it. Like I think this was from Hunt for Red October or something. I was like, that's a cool looking panel. So I recreated it here in vectors, and I made it very plain, so that when I take it into Photoshop, I can distort it and then color it and fill in all the bells and whistles and doohickeys and whatever. So you can do that for anything. This is for like a panel bulkhead. This was like an electrical switching panel or something. This is a ticket machine for Subway. Ah, yes, the one gender.
Man.
So yeah, like I encourage, if particularly if you're doing technical drawings, just like make your own templates. Why not? It's like whatever drawing program you're in, you can do this in any drawing program. Just like draw like a flat version of something. You can either make it up your own or use a photo and either trace it or just use it as reference to get like all the little details. Because that's basically like that's how movies are made.
We've actually got PGI Mark Nicholson in the chat saying they would do layouts for control panels in the back of Stargate sets like this.
See, there you go. Used in the industry, like for these photos. And also, here's like, you all have smartphones now, and they have pretty decent cameras. You can just like, anything cool you see, just snap a photo, and then you can have that as your own source of reference for whatever. Let's switch back to, excuse me. I can't draw horses.
Yes.
I saw this nude arm and panicked for a second. Oh shit!
No, he's not supposed to wear clothes.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, he's just a monkey.
Let's give him little Hulk shorts. That was not going to be Hulk shorts.
Look, if King Kong is going to wear one thing,
it's
it's going to be
little strongman onesie.
A banana hammock.
Sure.
That was a clever fucking joke. Come on.
Oh, I get it now.
It was my joke. I'm funny.
Oh, Sling Kong is pretty funny too. See, chat's also funny.
We're all mad here.
Work first, then banana hammock? Yes. Ook ook.
If you don't have your banana hammock, if you don't work, how can you have your banana hammock? How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
The trick is the pudding is also meat.
That's fucking weird. Like black pudding, which really doesn't have much to do with pudding at all, does it?
Yeah. They lie about sweet meat too.
Yeah, what the fuck? This, and then I got sidetracked. Weird.
Do your angles get borked?
No. These angles will always stay correct because they're point of origin, but I just moved them. There's almost definitely a better way I could be doing this, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Grab some earth or something.
Speedbot brings up a good point. There's definitely a better way I could do this. It's the motto of every IT person ever. And there's always like a trade-off on brute forcing something versus making a system do it, because you have to like figure out how to make the system do it. And so maybe copy pasting is better.
Well, I mean, it could go either way, right? Like, and that's, I guess, where the skill comes in, is like evaluating whether it's going to be better to just do it the manual dumb way, or to develop a system that's going to do it properly. And I guess it has to do with like, God, I can't even think of how many factors. It's just like, it would make sense that I'm doing this a lot or frequently, or I have to do a large volume of it, so I should make a template. Or it could be like, I only have to do this once, so I'll just do it the dumb way. I think the same logic applies to like manual tools. Like, there was a guy on YouTube I was watching who he says that in addition to a cordless drill, he actually keeps a manual brace and bit, which seems insane. But he's like, it never runs out of batteries, and sometimes you just need to drill one hole one time. Particularly if your drill is out of battery. And you'll feel like a genius one time you have to do that. Where did I put that other one? There it is. So, unrelated, now I want to get a brace and bit. Really cool. You also get more tactile feedback with them, and you can regulate the speed much more with a greater degree of control. What I'm doing here is after I've distorted it, I'm copying it onto itself to make it sort of thicker.
Yeah.
And then I merge that down.
How many layers are you at now, my dude?
That I'm using?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So background, everything that I've drawn. That's Kirby, which
Kirby is necessary, okay?
That's a legitimate strategy. That is that layer, which I merged down just now. Here's my pencils layer. These two objects. And I think that's basically it. Like, the rest is just reference. Which I tend to take all the reference and throw it in a folder.
Yeah.
And color it purple.
Oh, you even use color tags.
Sometimes. I found that like doing it for reference is handy because then I can just like, and also having a reference folder there is handy because I can turn all these layers on. Oh, Jesus Christ. And then turn the group off.
Yeah.
So when I can like drag a thing out, fuck around with it, and then just throw it back in the bin and it'll disappear from my view. That goddamn horse is so scary.
You're the one who did it, and
I
just
know.
because I asked why it was drooling from the shoulders, like you didn't have
From
to.
the shoulders.
It didn't need all those veins, okay?
Horsey wants his ivermectin. He's got the brain worms. A bunch of idiots ate all his ivermectin. He's jonesing. This is how I will drop color swatches sometimes.
Just X them.
Yeah, I'll just throw an X on. This is where my strategy of like using hard edges comes in. Is I'll just like patch up holes and then fill stuff.
Right.
Like, you don't get any, like, the trade-off is that you don't get any like soft sort of colors or gradients or anything, but it is very fast. One other thing that I do, I keep a color wheel open because what you can do is you can sample any color, and then if you go straight across and pick there, you get its complement.
Yep.
So
it'll always go together.
Yeah, I know very little about color theory, but I know a little bit. And one of the things that I know is complement look good. Complement go together. Mm. And then I can just sort of eyeball the lighter tone of this. Oh, when I'm changing tone, like uh, for different shades, I will go sort of diagonally.
Yeah.
Like instead of going straight up and down, I will go lighter, darker.
Yep.
Somebody told me that was good, and it was something that I was doing without even really thinking about it. There's some reason why it's good, and I don't know what it is. So that's not quite light enough. I can go a little lighter. There we go. Is it to be more saturated? Sure. Yar, I don't know what I'm doing. There we go.
It's a nice little building.
Yeah. Let's
Do you ever do
use some.
stuff like reflections or?
Um, occasionally. Um, reflections are the kind of thing that I would probably use a template for. And why would you like you? Sometimes again, hang on a sec. You just go like,
Oh yeah.
aha, sure, that's good enough. Oops. Awesome. And now, I mean, I could be doing this the whole way through this process. And however many other little beats you want. I don't know. Radio tower. Maybe like oh, it's a little. I don't know what these are called.
Doors.
Yeah, but it's like a door in a little thing.
Roof door. Rooftop shed. Roof access. Modded Xbox Series XL. These are all good. Yeah. It's all of these things.
Oh,
Aw.
hi, Mark.
Now it's the room.
Actually, here's something we could do to add a sense of depth. Light
Oh, what you
tone,
doing?
dark. Move that down a little bit. Oops.
Ah.
And now it looks like the top is recessed a little bit.
Yeah, that was cute.
Neat, huh?
Good move.
Oh, also breaking up the outline can help a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Make
Oh.
all right.
Yeah.
Like little stuff that you can do.
That's a good call.
To look sort of less uniform, more building like.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Thank
You
you.
know, adding text or anything. Like, I think the more stuff you put in alignment with the uh, the perspective, the more it looks like an actual like 3-dimensional object. This looks like the pilot to some extremely weird cartoon.
It does.
Well, I should try and draw this monkey a little bit, at least before we
Mm.
are out of time. There's the monkey.
There's a monkey. Ook, ook.
So, again, with my pencils, I don't follow exactly what is there. You know, like I'm changing my mind about what is going to go in a spot. I could probably use a smaller stylus even. So like little details about the how the head is turned from here to here.
Yeah.
Like these teeth are closer together. The front teeth start to go more in front of this rear tooth. So with organic shapes, the laws of perspective still apply, but it's more challenging to. Well, it's easier and harder to apply them because you can be more sort of loosey goosey and just kind of guess where shit is without having to be like ultra precise. But also, like sometimes stuff like looks whack.
Especially if people are familiar with what it looks like in real life.
Yeah, so that's another reason to have reference. Like, if you could find a different picture of an ape that was facing more in the direction that you wanted, and that would be useful. But I'm not going to because why not?
He's saying monkey. That's what he says, like a Pokemon.
Monk. Monkey. Actually, hang on a second.
But I don't know, that picture might be illegal.
Trust me, I have a plan.
He's got the teeth of an herbivore.
He has the teeth of a piano.
Only the white keys. Ha! Joke's on you. Danky Kang don't even have a neck.
Yeah, he does. He has a virtually non-existent neck, but yeah, this is pretty cursed.
Aw, brownie points, I like the black keys.
Like to eat?
It's good music.
Oh, that's a band. This is one of the ways I draw fur. Is I actually just draw a bunch of like disconnected lines, and then color fill underneath.
Yep.
I've been experimenting with colored line art as well. like I don't know if I have anything handy that I can show you about it, but I'll start with black and then I'll change it to a very dark version of whatever the rest is colored like.
Right?
Hang on a second. There we go. Big nipples.
Not that kind of stream. We
No, it's
never
fine.
focus.
No, look. They're male ape presenting nipples.
Oh, scandalous. First time nipples have appeared on this stream.
No, it's not.
Not. So yeah, if you decide to post the art that you did during club time later on the social medias, use the hashtag Can't Draw Horses Club. Even though it looks like there's a dirty word in the middle, there isn't. It's a perfectly functional hashtag. Also, my Twitter handle is @Apsalar. Alex, how about you?
It's. I have to spell this out because.
Yeah. Because otherwise you don't know how your name is spelled.
God damn it. Oh, there's. It's. I guess we have no end of trouble with my last name.
Whose fault is that?
Listen here, you. And upon that profile, you can find my other profile, which I don't think I'll link here, but it is where I post my comics, which are not suitable for all audiences, but they are some of my best work as far as I'm concerned. So I would love, if you are 18 or older, please read them. If you're younger than that, come back later. I will ban you. Okay, so we have this building here. I'm trying to put that in. Oh, I'm on Itch.io as well. I'll need to update that. And where's that building? Where's that Pokemon?
Yeah, it's always who's that Pokemon and not where's that Pokemon.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu. It's Clefairy. Ah! Cam did a really good read on that. He is a very funny man. You know, like funny as in he amuses me.
I mean, I think that's all he wants.
Well, it seems that all Cam really wants is to be annihilated in some sort of natural disaster.
Well, there's that
And
too.
I'm never sure how serious he is about it, and it kind of distresses me. I want to be part of the wall of chum. It's like, jokes, right? Please don't anything happen to you.
Okay. We are getting close to the end, so I'm going to thank Furvius for that 50-month resub. Oh no, I can't stop subbing. I hear a lot of people have that problem.
If
Gertz?
subbing for more than 3 hours,
Shirts has been here for 92 months. That's amazing. Mr. Verity, 30 months. Just now, just this very minute. Mr. Virite. Virites. Like the Greek. Ah,
Euripides trousers, Eumenides trousers.
behold a man.
Oh, you should learn how to use Quick Mask. It is the most unreasonably useful tool in like all of Photoshop. I use it constantly for all kinds of shit. It's fucked up how powerful it is. Basically,
Noted.
you toggle into Quick Mask mode, and then you can draw using any tool that can make a mark, a mask. And when you're done with that, as I will be momentarily,
So you just fill that in? Yeah.
then
Boom.
it becomes a selection.
Wicked.
Oh my
Ah!
God.
Oh no! Oh, it's gorillas.bat. Oh, who let that in here?
That's not bad.
A game? Video game?
Oh, that's better.
Ah. Refreshing.
Finesse the details. Oops. There we go. Get some interior mouth. And then, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. He's on his way to his day job downtown.
Like, I work in this office.
Godzilla's
You're
like,
impact-
you left your lunch at home!
You're impacting productivity. Get out of my house.
Urgh.
Oh, I fucked this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Monkey. So we didn't get around to doing like the whole thing, but that's the other thing to consider. Drawing backgrounds can take a long time. There's like not always a way around that, but that's okay because sometimes things that take a long time are worthwhile. You don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in little chunks. But I encourage you to try it. Like most things in art, don't let your assumptions about it prevent you from giving it a shot. Hopefully, some of the stuff that I showed you will be in some way useful.
Mm-hmm.
That would be ideal, TBH.
Yeah, thanks for being here today, Alex.
Yay!
I'm just going to go over the upcoming streams, such
Awesome.
as and including Jackbox at 5 p.m. here on the channel with guests. Then tomorrow, we've got Mine O'Clock in the morning at 10, followed by Talking Simulator. We're going to play Starstruck Prologue, a game you've never heard of or seen before on the Loading Ready Run Entertainment Network. Then, Let's Note is playing Bloodborne, but it's not the Bloodborne you've seen before. It's a Bloodborne that is pretend old.
PSX porn.
It is PSX for kids. Then Wednesday, Paul's back with Immortals Phoenix Rising. In the morning, play it forward. Then in the evening, they're playing Marvel Champions, the card game, on AFK. Magic. Ian and Graham are going to get together on Thursday for some iPhone repair. I believe Graham has smashed a lens on a camera, and they're going to replace that, I think. I don't know for sure. Look forward to Friday Night Paper Fight, where they are playing 6-player Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Draft. And Saturday, where they are one more Escape from Tarkov. And it says they're still playing Demo Reborn on Rhythm Cafe. Is that true, Ian?
Yep.
Yep. They're
Demo
still
won't
trapped
die.
in the Demoverse, as is Wheeler, who is trapped in Inscription.
I hope he gets out.
Yeah, it's Demo's house. What is it? Demo's house. When is it?
Demo's
Demo's house.
Demo's house. Here are my offerings from today.
Are
I
you,
posted them to Tweetar.
you posted them on Twitter? All right. Then we are all done here. Ready to say good night, everyone. Enjoy your evening activities. And thank
Whatever
you for
they
being
may
here.
be.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.